So the next team with greener pastures on their way, I think, is the Carolina Panthers. And I think you probably don't think
disagree.
And the reason that I think that they're pretty good is because I think Christian McCaffrey is probably, arguably the best player in the world. And then we have DJ Moore, who is certainly an elite wide receiver, maybe not Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp elite, but he's really good. He's probably like a top 10 NFL wide receiver. And then we have this new quarterback at the helm who is, you probably never heard of him. He played a few years in Cleveland that nobody ever watched their games. So his name's Baker Mayfield. He's a flag planter / also waiver. He does that from time to time.
Yeah.
He's great, except he's not that good, but he's also not terrible. He's also probably just completely fine. And if Teddy Bridgewater could get this offense with DJ Moore scoring a lot of fantasy points and Robbie Anderson scoring a lot of fantasy points and Christian McCaffrey scoring a lot of fantasy points, Baker Mayfield can get this offense scoring a lot of fantasy points, and we should be buying into the damn offense because everything that Baker has ever done has been better than anything that Teddy Bridgewater has ever done. So that's really where I'm at with this. DJ Moore is going to get a 25+% target share. He's going to score, 1,200 yards, just like he always does. Christian McCaffrey is going to score 25 fantasy points per game. And Baker Mayfield is going to get the Tua Tagovailoa treatment where he just gets carried on with his little buddies, and it's going to be fine. And I presume that you feel the exact same way as I do. And the Panthers have their quarterback of the future and the now, and it's just wheels up all around.
What do you think the odds are that Baker's their quarterback this year after their first 2 games were losses to the Browns and Giants?
Well, the Browns are an exceptional team.
They just lost to the Jets at home.
They've never blown
to the Jets with Joe Flacco.
An outstanding defense that has not had a players-only defensive meeting thus far. So I don't know if you saw that. They had a players-only defensive meeting literally today.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, they gave up like 14 points to Joe Flacco in 100 seconds.
Well, you may be confused because Joe Flacco has probably won more games in Cleveland than anyone in the history of football.
That's true.
Except for maybe Ben Roethlisberger.
I'll give it to the Jets, man. Like, I hope that they keep doing this with Zach Wilson. This is like taking us off topic, but I'll be fast.
No,
I love their competitiveness. Like, it's the exact opposite of the Bears, right? Like, the Bears are like falling behind and going into a shell. But both games, like against the Ravens, it was entirely fruitless. They never made it even close to coming back. And then they actually did come back against the Browns. But in both games, they were way behind. They were essentially out of the game. But they didn't care. They were like, we're going to play fast. We're going to just throw. We're going to just pin our ears back, and we're going to go down swinging. And like, I'd love to see that, right? That's what I want to see bad teams do. I want them to be competitive. And the Bears are like anti-competitive. Anyway, so I think if they keep that same level of attitude with Zach Wilson, maybe Zach Wilson won't be good. Maybe he will. But they're going to have more productive games for Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, guys we're going to talk about later, because it's just fun to see a team try in spite of their own shittiness. As for the Panthers, I agree with you. Baker Mayfield is unquestionably a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. But if I was a fantasy weapon, I would much rather have Teddy Bridgewater, because Teddy Bridgewater like plays in the structure of the offense to his detriment, quite frankly. Like, we talk all the time about CPOE, completion percentage over expected, and why it's really noisy because it rewards guys who throw short of the sticks on third down all the time. And Teddy Bridgewater is like the face of that. Like, he's just always just cruising along in CPOE, just chucking it down short of the sticks. But like, that gets people fantasy points, right? Like, he will pepper guys, especially the running back position. He'll check down all day long to Christian McCaffrey. Baker Mayfield, so far, Baker Mayfield has reached a targeted throw on 71% of his dropbacks. That is woefully bad. Like, that would be somewhat normal if he was Jalen Hurts or if he was Lamar Jackson, right? Quarterbacks who scramble all the time. He thinks that he is those guys. Like, when I watch him, you can tell that he thinks that he's very athletic. He's mistaken, but he does think that he is. That means that 30% of the time that Baker Mayfield has dropped back to pass this year, he either gets sacked, he throws it away into the stands, or he scrambles futilely. And that's just not what you want to see for any sort of weapons. Scrambles are bad because they take points away from everybody else. Sacks are bad because they take points away and they stall the offense. And of course, throwaways are bad for both those same reasons. It hurts the offense that Baker never just stays in the structure of the offense. It also means that he spreads the ball around more often because he's continually extending plays. He's finding random guys instead of just throwing to the first read, if it's DJ Moore or Robbie or CMC. And if I have to watch Baker Mayfield look off open Christian McCaffrey targets, in which he would surely break a tackle and take 15 yards, to take his 4'9" running ass and scramble around meaninglessly in the pocket until he eventually hurls into the first row one more time, I'm going to lose my shit. I can't handle Baker Mayfield at all. So I hope that they like get through to him that he's bad, but I don't think that Baker is bad, actually. I think that he's an okay quarterback who thinks he's a great quarterback. And if he was an okay quarterback who played like he was an okay quarterback, it would be fine. But he needs to just come to grips with his reality. And his reality needs to be checking it down more and throwing to the first read more. Because Sam Darnold, for as bad as he is, that man understood the assignment. One read Sam was throwing it to DJ Moore come hell or high water. And I would love for Baker Mayfield to show some of that same affection.
Yeah, I think Baker has like... So there's like this stat on Player Profiler called money throws. You're probably familiar with it.
Yeah.
He scores exceptionally high in that on like a per pass basis because he's really talented, but he also isn't very good. It's really
he must also score pretty highly in turnover worthy plays and stuff. What doesn't he like?
It's not static, I guess. Like it's not. It
goes high variance.
It's high variance. Like 1 year he's like terrible. The next year he's like great, and it's like what? Okay, just do that some more. Like why didn't you do that again? That was really good. You threw a whole bunch of really awesome throws and like no really bad throws, and Cleveland loved you, and you won all the games. And then the next year you come out and you just like hero balled all game, and you threw some really incredible passes, and you made some really really awful ones at a way too high rate. And you should just stop doing the second part of that, and you'd be a really good quarterback. And yeah, like his rushing has been wild this year. He's been carrying 5.5 times per game. But like he's never done that in his life. Never. He's like a 1 to 2 carries a game kind of guy, maybe 3. So we're gonna see some regression on.
And his rushing doesn't even help over fantasy because he's so fucking slow. So it's not like it's like accomplishing anything.
He's not picking up on the 4.84. It's like completely average.
Yeah, he's
like,
average.
He's not Eli Manning out here.
Right. I wish that he was. He would check down more. Christian McCaffrey.
I never put this together before. He's famous Jameis. I had no idea. He's a tactical, like unbelievably bad rusher that also plays hero ball all the time. He makes some incredible throws. He makes a lot of real bad throws. We just need to get Baker Mayfield a whole bunch of pass attempts like famous Jameis had in that one magical season with Bruce Arians.
And you're right that Baker isn't slow, by the way. It's not that Baker is slow, but relative to other quarterbacks who take as many steps as he does in a given game, he's very slow.
Relative to quarterbacks that should be rushing the ball, he's very, very slow.
Every other quarterback who who expends as much energy through running as he does. And I don't even just mean running the football, because a lot of it's just like run around in the pocket for God knows how long until he eventually throws it to someone. Like, just move less. I don't. Yeah.
The other thing is Baker Mayfield throws the ball way down the field, and I think that's great. But you have Christian McCaffrey. You shouldn't have an 8.2 yards per attempt, number 8 in the NFL, when you have Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey is a cheat code in the short passing game. You literally just throw it to him, and then he gets 10 yards, and you get a first down, and now you get to throw 2 more bombs later. So just freaking throw to Christian McCaffrey, you buffoon.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's targets per route run this year is 17%. I don't say that because I think Christian McCaffrey's washed. This is just like the change in Baker. He was 40% last year, which that's obviously not sustainable. But he has generally been like a really high targets per route run player. He's down to 17%. That means they're not taking a checkdowns. I like. Would you not be a way happier Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore owner if instead of going for Baker, they got like Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh yeah, for those guys for sure, because they're like DJ Moore is also really good after the catch. Like if they would just put him in that role again, it like let him run the odd deep route. He's good at that too. Like he's good at everything, but they don't really ever seem to put him in this role where he can just like rack up the yak, which was his strength coming into the NFL. Like I remember in training camp, people were like, "Oh, he's like winning this route. Like he's such a good route runner." I'm like, who cares? The dude's gonna Golden Tate his way to leading the league in yak every year with a 10-8 odd. He's like Jarvis Landry, but talented.
They did it last year. They did it last year for like the first 6 games. Like when the Panthers offense looked kind of good, they got him like a bunch of design touches. They're using him on jet sweeps. They're doing all sorts of stuff. Can they please, Matt Rule? I mean, Matt Rule, not long for this world, right? Like what do you say? A couple more games?
I was just going to say, who's the first coach to be fired? Is it Matt Rule? Because I made a joke about how Cliff was the first one going to be fired. And then everyone was like, no, his contract's still on. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think about it. Just making a joke about how bad this game plan is. But really, it's got to be Matt Rule. Like he's on the hot seat coming into the year. They're playing atrocious. They're not using their players appropriately at all. And maybe that's Baker Mayfield's fault, or maybe it's Matt Rule's fault. I don't know. But one way or the other, they got to get the ball to freaking Christian McCaffrey a hell of a lot more than they have been.
And the last thing on Rule, I think it's fine because Terrace Marshall's like egregiously bad. But look, we were talking about the Bears before and the idea of they were trying to lose gracefully to keep their jobs. Matt Rule, like maybe to his credit, isn't doing that, where he's literally just benched round 2 draft pick Terrace Marshall in favor of Shi Smith, who I think was like a late pick or undrafted. He had one of the worst games I've ever seen. Like every single thing that came off his way, he like ping pong battled into the air. And like it's like he was destroying his team's chances. Also, he wears 12, which is so confusing. DJ Moore now wears 2 and Shi Smith wears 12. And so I kept watching all these passes getting dropped and I was like, DJ Moore, stop. I was like, oh, that's Shi Smith.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. I was like, what are you like? Why is DJ Moore not catching the football? He catches the football. I know that he catches the football. I've seen him catch football for 5 years now. And then he drops the football. I'm like, what is happening? Like, is this a cruel joke? And it was a cruel joke. They should have retired 12 when DJ Moore moved to 2 and just it's okay. We don't need a 12.
Yeah. All right. That's enough about the Panthers. Matt Rule's.
Yeah, they're going to be great. You should buy them because this isn't going to last forever. That's my point. This isn't going to last forever. Christian McCaffrey isn't going to not get targeted for a long, this is not going to last forever. Buy this offense because it's going to turn around and everybody thinks they suck. And also they've only ran like 50 plays or 58 plays a game. Like it's like, they're not even running plays, which is weird because I think they're playing kind of fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I have no idea on their pace. I do think
it's like mediocre. Never mind.
Well, but here's what I will say though. They've played so far the Browns and the Giants, who are bad, but the Browns and the Giants are also 2 of the lowest. Giants, surprisingly to me. But they have been through 2 games. The Browns and the Giants are 2 of the lowest pass rate over expectation teams in the NFL. So they've been playing 2 teams that want to shorten the game as much as possible. Now they're also going to play the Saints, who historically have also been one of the slowest play teams in the league. But they seem like they're a little bit more fun this year. So I don't know when will the pain end? I'm not sure, but I do think that Matt Rule is not long for this world. Hopefully that they get a better coach in there eventually. I really hope that the interim coach isn't Ben McAdoo.
That would be the worst case scenario for all involved.